This is your 2 News Oklahoma Fantasy Football Forecast.
The Monday Night Miracle.
Not good, Ryan. Not good.
So last night
I don't appreciate it.
This week it was myself versus Mike Collier in our league, and it came down to Monday night. I had Christian McCaffrey coming off of the injury. It was a little shaky whether or not, we couldn't really tell what his usage would be. Sure enough, he played every snap.
Every snap. Even with Elijah Mitchell out in the field, he played every snap.
And
how many points was I up going into it?
So you were up about what was it, 20, almost 23, I think.
That's just dumb.
And that was like his exact projection.
See, this is why I hate the NFL, because it's like, I don't know. These people, they have one job. Take away Christian McCaffrey. Oh no, we'll let him run.
Yeah,
that makes zero sense to me, and it happens on a weekly basis where, it's just Travis Kelce. Oh, I wonder if we should cover Travis Kelce.
Yeah, 12 for 13, 179 for Travis Kelce.
He had most of that in the first half.
Yep.
It's just it is mind blowing to me. I don't get it. I won't ever get it. But you know what? I'm bitter.
You always wonder with guys like Kelce, just especially like the big touchdown or the big run that he had, like the one that got them into the red zone, where there's nobody around him. It's like, I get how he can exploit matchups in the middle of the field. He's bigger than linebackers, you know, that sort of thing. But when he's just wide open with nobody around him, like deep in the secondary, that's when I'm like, what's going on?
Stupidity. That's what it is.
So I took that matchup between us by 3 points.
So what's your record now?
So I am 5-2.
Ooh, and now I'm 3-4. So I do have a easy matchup this week. So if I can bring it back to 500 and maybe get some momentum going again, I don't dislike my team. They're solid. When you have Stephon Diggs and Jalen Waddle, you should be doing well. I'm a little hurt by the running back sitch with David Montgomery out. So the tight end's a little weak, but we should be able to survive. I mean, I feel like I'm better than a 3-4 team right now.
Right. And I mean, you made those trades for guys too. So and a lot of that, is waiting to have those trades fully pay off for you.
Yep. Saquon. I've got Saquon. I mean, quarterback, Anthony Richardson getting hurt did bring me down some. But Devontae has been, as a huge Eagles fan.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Very disappointing. The only thing I can think of is there's twofold effect. One is Devontae is a little banged up. We saw that in the practice reports. And so he's not getting all the reps each week. And then we have Jalen, who's hurt as well, who is looking just for a secure throw right now. And AJ is just elite.
Oh, yeah. He's seemingly always open.
But, a lot of us are wondering, when do we bench Smith? I mean, he was a top 15 receiver last year. This would project to be lower than his rookie year. He's too good to keep down. I say you wait one more week, and I could be totally wrong. If you want to board from him now, I get it, but the Redskins, the Washington. What are we here?
The Commanders.
The Commanders, yeah. He notoriously has done really well against the Commanders. So,
and then just another part of that team that I think is a positive surprise on their part is DeAndre Swift for them has been everything that he was advertised coming into Detroit that he just never lived up to.
So he is good, but I don't see that flashiness that I saw in Detroit.
Sure.
It's a little more subdued DeAndre, which is fine, because maybe that's what kept getting him in trouble in Detroit, was trying to win it all at once. He's hitting the holes, hitting them hard, doing well, because when Kenneth Gainwell goes in, you're like, why did you take out Swift?
Right.
Put Swift back in.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say that's been one of the sort of fantasy surprises of the season, really kind of flying under the radar just based on the rest of that team around him. People don't really talk about him that much, but he's had a really solid year so far as RB6 in most PPR leagues this year.
Bills.
Bills. Yeah. I'm worried about them. I'm hearing a lot of the Bills, they're frauds this year talk,
Yes and no. Yes, they shouldn't be losing to these teams. However, they still have Josh Allen. They still have Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Anytime you have that type of offensive firepower, it's kind of like over in San Diego or the Los Angeles Chargers now, dealing with these high power offenses that just can't win games.
Yeah. Caden, tell me why the Bills are frauds.
I'm here. The Bill. Gosh. It's one of those teams I think a lot of America just loves the idea of rooting for, right? Unable to break through and win a Super Bowl years ago when I was a kid, and they were really, really good. Small market, cold weather, been bad for a long time. Why are they frauds?
Well,
were they ever quite as good as maybe we thought? I don't know. I go back and forth. There's some really good pieces there. I've got to tell you, Josh Allen's success has exceeded certainly anything I thought possible coming out of college. And that said, I'm not sure that he's quite as good, especially, like fantasy. Well, he's such a great fantasy quarterback.
Yes,
but if we're taking it outside of that, I'm not so sure. Maybe if Andy Reid was his coach, I'd feel differently. You know what I mean? Because I can envision Patrick Mahomes not succeeding, certainly not to the extent he has, if Andy Reid wasn't his guy. But you want to be accurate, and you know what I mean. And so he is generally accurate. But we have kind of the same conversation with a guy who had a heck of a week in Lamar Jackson. It can look really, really good when it's all dialed in, but then can he do it every single week when it really matters most? I have questions. I hate to have questions about people because it just seems so negative, but I start with the quarterback. There are other issues, obviously.
Yeah, and I feel like that team, my first thought was, is it because this team with Josh Allen and, since they've had sort of championship expectations for the last couple of years, is it because they've always been so one-dimensional? But Kansas City's basically always been was super one-dimensional. So maybe it is, it comes down to the coaching situation, Andy Reid obviously has a super long track record, and Sean McDermott, this has kind of been it,
No,
Although I've learned to know that it's never as good as it seems and never as bad as it seems.
Absolutely.
So,
49ers have lost 2 in a row.
Exactly.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, I thought for sure it was the best team in the league. You're exactly right.
I would have denied that, but yes, I understand.
Hey, the Eagles look like it again, right?
Yeah, but they're just not there yet.
This is, I apologize for it, but this just popped into my head the other day. Maybe other people have made this observation. So Lane Johnson played 2 seasons at Oklahoma after he was a quarterback in junior college, sort of famously, and then was a tight end at OU, and then they moved him to left tackle, and I think it was Bruce Kittle, who is related to Kittle somehow. Okay. Anyway, was the offensive line coach and said, hey, I think maybe this guy can play tackle. So he was there for 2 years, and it happened to be the 2 years OU ran the Belldozer package with Blake Bell at quarterback. So Landry Jones was the quarterback. They were struggling to run the ball. As soon as they put Blake in, it was nuts. So he ran for 24 touchdowns in 18 games.
Crazy.
Lane Johnson was on both of those lines. And now he's doing the tush push thing. Has anybody
same idea.
Has anybody in the history of football, college and pro? I mean, because Jalen Hurts, it's 37 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe it's 30 touchdowns in 37 games. Something just nuts for the NFL. But here's the point. I watched the Belldozer firsthand, and it was unstoppable for a very long time. Yeah. And this is unstoppable, and I can't. How is anybody going to figure this out?
Does it feel to you like it's something that the league is going to be like, hey, you guys can't do this anymore?
They're going to stop it before anybody actually stops the Eagles doing it.
Well, I mean, we thought that was going to happen last year, but they didn't.
Yeah,
because here's where they come into an issue is there's no injuries have been caused from the Eagles doing it. And so there's no other excuse than,
they can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't stop them. Yeah. So unless they come up with a better solid reasoning, the town of Philly will probably go up in flames because they're so mad if they. But you see other teams try it, they can't
do that
all
the time.
I got to tell you, I'm so glad Philly got that one championship because I can't even imagine the collective angst that would be in play if they were still looking for their first.
I know.
And they got rid of the tush push. So.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. So what's up now? I want to because I doubt you guys covered this ground. Annie Brown. Have you gone there?
We did not. No, we have not gone to Annie Brown.
So Annie Brown is what is her what's her team name? Is it Downtown Brown?
It's Downtown Annie Brown.
Downtown Brown.
Yeah.
She is running away with this league, just embarrassing the rest of us, our Channel 2 Fantasy Football League. And she told me she wants to be on the pod. And I said, you know what? I think maybe you need to take over the pod, if I'm being honest. This is like... It is incredible what she's put together. So, no, just hats off to Annie. I know she listens. And we need to make it happen with her schedule. Mike, who does her schedule?
That would be me.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's get her in here on a Tuesday soon because she's lapping the field.
Yeah. If there's any team in any league that I'm a part of, if there's a team that I'm the most scared of, it is that one.
Yeah, I know. It
is 150, 160 points a week.
Once. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I gave her Puka Nakua. Which,
oh, yes. Uh-huh.
That was a good. I thought he was a flash in the pan. Boy, was I wrong. He's like the next Justin Jefferson. Oh, Lord.
One sort of other big-time league storyline I want to talk to you. I mean, we can talk about the Lions losing, but I mean, that one seems kind of obvious. They just lost. They just got their butts kicked.
Well, you watched it more closely than I.
Yep.
I'm intrigued by what the matchup, like what Mike just said is exactly right. Never as good, never as bad.
Yeah.
But that felt like a really important game going in, and the result is such that it feels like maybe that is really important. And maybe the Lions are just fine, and it was a bad week. But I guess here's the thing: not to get you to relive the sorrow, but for Baltimore, do you think that was that just taking advantage of the Lions are always the Lions, or do you see Baltimore graduating to some? Because I mean, this is new offensive coordinator wasn't great. There were some injuries early, but like if what we saw Sunday is what this offense is trending towards, like that's a team you're going to be talking about the rest of the way.
And that's the thing. Like I feel like that game might have said more about the Ravens than the Lions. Okay. While it, the Lions are certainly not the best team in the league, like people were giving them when they beat the Bucks. Yeah. But but I think that it says a little bit more about the Ravens, I think, whereas you saw what happened when they finally put it all together.
Yeah.
The running game was working. The receivers were actually able to catch all the passes. Lamar seemed to be making all the right decisions.
Those receivers were wide open.
Yes.
I was like, wow, where's the Lions defense?
Yeah.
And early in the year, I was concerned about the running game for a couple of reasons. One, I just know Lamar doesn't want to run all the time. Certainly not as much as he did early in his career. I don't think of Todd Monken as a guy who wants to, commit to the run to the extent that some other NFL offensive coordinators want to. But, I mean, obviously, like, they're getting enough. Out of the stable they have, they're getting enough.
It looked like Lamar was like somebody is controlling him in Madden out there. Like, he was just fresh. Just dancing around the pocket, like, all the time in the world, It was just one of those days I was like, this was kind of the perfect storm for these Lions. And, they have their next game is Monday night against the Raiders, which is a perfectly nice,
rebound
bounce back situation.
And then they have a bye.
Yeah. So by the end of that, maybe you get Montgomery back and you get a little bit healthier again and start kind of feeling like the team that you started as.
And look, it's still too soon to say exactly who's going to be in the mix. I mean, we know the Chiefs are going to be there, right? Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame guy. I keep an eye on him because of that. Like he erases he's a freak. His length is spooky. Nobody can match what he has at safety. The Ravens are using him well. I like projecting that defense against some of the better quarterbacks in the AFC. Just maybe that would be cool if like we love the Chiefs because they're nearby and everything else, but we kind of get tired of the same. Right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's the same old.
Yeah, some new blood would be kind of fun. And we assume that John Harbaugh, whatever the latest I guess they don't do sign stealing in the NFL, right? Because you have the radios. But if they did, he's using Navy SEALs and he's
There's a reason he's like one of the most untouchable coaches in the league.
That's right, cutting edge.
I did want to talk about real quick before we move on to some of the top from some of the just injuries and all that. is Deshaun Watson turning into like the absolute worst possible, like
just the worst. Just stop there.
Right. But
just
like
the worst.
from like from a football perspective, is this becoming like the worst possible deal that Cleveland could have made? Because it is just, he's playing no games. When he does play, he's not all that good. PJ Walker's out there looking like something again.
PJ Walker. Look, they get what they deserve. The Browns are going to be the Browns, and I just couldn't be happier to see it. I mean, this is not to say that Baker Mayfield is a top 8 quarterback in the league who deserved that spot in perpetuity, but he's a guy who won a playoff game for that sorry franchise and then played through injury the next year, and they booted him for this clown. They got what they deserved, period.
I'm going to be the opposite and say, unfortunately, because I have him in a dynasty league, I think we've talked about this before. It's not the person. It's just a player. I don't like anything he's ever done.
Sure.
But watching him, it just, he's trying way too hard.
Trying too hard, okay.
He, in those 2 interceptions, well, one got overturned, but he should have had 2 interceptions. He was just trying to make a play that he shouldn't have. And I feel like he's just trying to be hero ball out there. And he's just not that good to be a hero ball guy. So if he can figure out to just do some checkdowns and play it right, he might be able to get in a groove. That's just being a kind of opposite.
They've got pieces.
Yeah, that defense is awesome.
Yeah.
They have, it seems like you can put any running back in there and they will succeed to a degree. They have good receivers.
Pierre Strong is the one to pick up this week.
He is. Yep, he'll be there. Kareem Hunt will obviously probably get the number 1 spot there. But yeah, Pierre Strong was the one who got the touches after Jerome Ford went down, and he's expected to miss a couple weeks.
Can we run like a quick disclaimer anytime we talk about Deshaun Watson? Like, Mike Collier does not promote or endorse anything this sleazeball has ever done.
We roll across the screen. This
is just a fake game with a fake player name, number, and he does not support.
Yes.
Thank you. Because I just feel sleazy even talking about it.
I mean, we know what you mean.
It's just numbers. That's all I'm looking at here. And
Mike Collier's never even had a massage.
But I mean, exactly. Yeah. What's a massage?
I can honestly say I never have.
But
I can honestly say that.
Here's another issue I have is if we are going to talk about players, then let's talk about Tyreek. Let's talk about.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole rabbit hole you can go down as far as like talking about players off the field.
Yeah.
I saw somebody tweet the other day, I know he can't actually be getting faster, but it seems like he's getting faster. Like, that is nuts. Watching him run, like, he is not afraid. And I mean, a lot of those crossers, they're going over the middle, and he just seems 100% confident that I will outrun whatever hit you think you can lay on me. No, I mean, that dude is crazy. Something.
It's never seen anything just like how, it. And it's the starting and stopping, like blowing past a guy. Being able to, because Tua doesn't have the strongest long ball, so he is like every now and then he's got to pull up for one, stop, grab it, and then still make the guy miss and go.
There is you can just see the sigh of relief on the body language of the defense every time they get him down, or usually he just goes out of bounds. Nobody even gets the guy down. I've never seen anything like it. He's the cheetah, no doubt.
One other major, thing that happened, and it's at the top of our injury list here. Bijan Robinson was out with an illness, sort of out of nowhere, at the start of this game, and it's one of those things that I'm wondering if the NFL is. They said they're going to look into it because they didn't disclose anything on any injury reports or anything before the game. Which is like, obviously for fantasy owners, that's like a huge deal. If you're like, oh, this guy's been dealing with something, it at least sort of affects. I mean, Bijan Robinson, if it just says illness, but he's going to play, I'm starting him.
Yeah.
But sure enough, like he only got 1 touch, and then he was in a few plays, but didn't actually do anything, in those plays. So it's one of those things. Like I'm wondering, like what the NFL would come down on with that. I
think it would have made a whole lot more sense to say, okay, he's not feeling that well. We're just taking precaution. But the problem is they played him in the 4th quarter, and that just totally did away with any logical excuse.
Right. Yeah.
Why did you put him in the last couple plays of the fourth quarter? It was
he said he was dealing with headaches the whole time.
Right.
And it was one of those.
then just sit him out and be done and be like, hey, it's things, life happens. I get it,
And with how big sports betting is getting, and even like in-game stuff too, because like even in-game, you see he's going to keep playing. You're like, you know what? I'm going to throw something on this fourth quarter anytime touchdown for Bijan Robinson, but they're not actually using him.
This is the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen in an NFL game as far as playing. Like if they would have, he's sick, he's out. He tried to go out there. It just wasn't able to do it. But then the fourth quarter.
It's
he was feeling a little better.
Yeah.
So you guys faced off in fantasy this week, right?
Oh,
and I don't know how close it ended up being. Can you imagine
like 3 points?
Can you imagine, especially in a 2-quarterback league like us, you got Desmond Ridder at your other one, and my man just fumbles out the end zone and fumbles at the and you lose by a couple points.
When I saw that, that's all I could think of. Was
my word!
How angry I would be.
He's
not going to be it. By the way, I mean, they've got some nice pieces, and they need a better quarterback than that.
Yeah. They've got Taylor Heineke, who's a solid lizard. I mean, he can at least throw and run with it.
I know.
Arthur Smith, he needs his head checked. Speaking of heads, he does.
Are they 4-3, or was that win number 3? Do they have a winning record?
I was gonna say they're gonna compete for that division.
That is wild.
But that division,
with Ridder.
Yeah, that division's just bad. Like the Bucks aren't as good as they started out as, and I think they're gonna be right in there.
I mean, they got some dudes. He didn't even throw that great a pass to Pitts, on the play that set him up for the game-winning field. I mean, they just Bijan, Pitts, like that team should be pretty good.
Yeah. Remember Drake London?
Yeah, Drake London. Drake London scored a touchdown with his head. But yeah, so let's run down some of the injury issues and I guess depth chart issues. Chris Olave got arrested for reckless driving. I don't know if that'll result in an immediate suspension or punishment of any kind. If it does or when it does, Michael Thomas and Rashid Shaheed would obviously be the benefactors there. Dawson Knox going out for the Bills. That boosts your. Do you still have Dalton Kincaid on your team?
Yep.
So that would obviously give him a boost as the de facto number 1 tight end there. They usually run 2 tight ends, so I imagine they would run another guy out there as well. But Kincaid would be the go-to guy, you'd think. Justin Fields is still doubtful for this upcoming game. He's going to be dealing with that thumb thing for a while. DK Metcalf, he was questionable going into this last game, didn't end up playing, which obviously boosts your Tyler Lockett, your Jake Bobo. Stock and Jackson Smith and Jigba, who scored a touchdown this last week, and then Deebo Samuel still
Samuel.
And we saw, the Niners are clearly struggling without Deebo and I believe did Trent Williams not play last night?
Yep, that's right.
So those guys not being there obviously hurting them.
But that's okay. They just let the defense just let McCaffrey run all over him. So, it still makes no sense to me.
They had to throw it to him a couple times.
I'm a little bitter, but it's just that and Kelsey. I don't get. But hey,
we were. A lot of people were not exactly on the ball with this one. Zach Evans was one of the big waiver wire pickups last week. Rams did not use him. They brought up Darrell Henderson and Royce Freeman. They got all the touches
Henderson
there.
was the guy there, yeah.
Sad world we're living in. I'm probably playing Darrell Henderson this weekend.
Yep.
Buddy,
yeah.
You look down in the dumps about your squad.
Oh, I'm not good right now. Not good. I do play the last place team this weekend, so hopefully that will bring me back to life. If I lose this weekend, then I'm just it's all done.
Oh, look, I've got good news for you. You may not like it, but I've got good news.
Yeah.
All you need to do is tell Annie Brown that she can have a PTO day if she'll give you a couple tips, and I'm sure she'll be happy.
Wow, tips. More like players.
Yeah, that's right. Wait, if that happens, we're going to be throwing the red flag. That is not allowed.
It was suggested by Kato McFarland.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're going to get her on this pod.
Yeah,
14-1.
Mike, really, my win over Mike came as a result of this. There was we had the Gardner Minshew game, 27 points.
Yeah,
but then the
Browns,
the Jalen Waddle getting hurt, and then
Yeah,
miraculously
sure.
coming back.
Yeah, I think out of all of the factors in our game, it was Minshew scoring 3 times as much as he was projected.
Yes.
That helps.
So that happened. So obviously, if he can keep that up, he'll be a viable QB2, for people like me who have no quarterback.
I hate fantasy because it's so much luck.
Oh yeah,
It's so much luck.
Yeah.
Like last night, quick story. Sunday night, I'm going against Waddle, AJ Brown, and he's still got TJ Hawkinson left, and I'm up like 40 points, whatever. Waddle goes down. I'm like, oh, great. This is great. And then all of a sudden, Waddle comes back like living, raised amongst the dead. He's back. So I'm up by 16.1 points going into last night with TJ Hawkinson. All right. TJ gets up like the 12 points in the first quarter. Stupid. And then he gets a cramp, and I'm like, yes, he's out. He's out. And then he comes back, and he catches it, and he ties me. And I had the most bench points, so I would have won. And then he gets hurt on that play that he tied. And then they had to help him off, right? And even my friend's like, dude, you won. On the bench points, you got it. 3 plays later, Hawkinson comes back. Do they have Jesus back in the locker rooms on these games that I'm playing against? See, this is why I hate fantasy. This is why I'm better today. Because
I get it. I get it. I see Josh Downs on our list. That dude's going to play in this league a long time.
He's been legit.
Yeah.
He's
be good.
Slowly, I don't know if it's just based on what Minshew's skill set is, that Michael Pittman would fall down in that pecking order to Josh Downs, but Josh Downs the last 3 or 4 weeks has been as solid as you can get as
who he reminds you of?
Pick up.
Tank Dell of the Houston Texans. Because I watch all these stupid games. Don't ask me why.
Yep.
But they're almost identical. They're same size, same height. They do these little slippery little route things. Josh Downs is more of a slot guy, so he gets more of the opportunities versus when you're a man-to-man on with Tank. But they're very similar in weird ways.
And speaking of that, so I don't know if Tank Dell's going to be.
He'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be expected to be back. There's no bye weeks this week, so the Texans are coming off of their bye. So we'll see how they pick it back up with C.J. Stroud and all them. But yeah, no teams on a bye this week, so everybody can kind of breathe a sigh of relief, getting what players you may have been missing back. Our Sunday night football game this week. It looked a lot cooler heading into the season. We got Chicago at the Chargers.
Oh, my gosh.
That is Chargers are favored by 8.5 right now. That'll be a sans Justin Fields.
Ship this
Bears.
thing to Amazon. Make a trade.
And we talked about, I texted you guys yesterday when I'd seen the stat that Justin Herbert is like the losingest starting quarterback since he came into the league.
Believe that.
Insane.
Now, obviously all year it's been Brandon Staley's sort of been on the hot seat, right? People have been talking about getting him out of there. Do you think is it all Staley? Is it Herbert?
Yep. It's not Herbert. Herbert wasn't responsible for allowing Kelsey to have 164 yards in the first half. This is dumb. Staley's supposed to be a defensive genius.
Yeah.
That he is not.
Yeah, it's one of those things and I wondered, did Justin Herbert inherit this horrible luck that Phillip Rivers always had?
Yes.
In there, where it seems like he's always down 8 points or so in the fourth quarter, and he's got no time left, and he can't possibly make it down the field fast enough.
Yeah.
It's kind of like John Elway, who always the fourth quarter comeback guy. His teams always sucked, so he had to bring him back. Dan Marino, who was on these crappy teams, just bad luck.
I heard Bill Plaschke, longtime LA Times columnist, on Dan Patrick's show, I think yesterday. And Dan was asking him kind of what is the pecking order of interest in LA for football teams. He said USC football's way up here at the top, not even close. The Rams are down here. And he was trying to go through the floor for where the Chargers are. It's the NFL. They're all professionals. They're all getting paid. But somehow I feel like it just matters when you've got plants or whatever for your fans. You don't have an actual fan. But, it's a weird franchise that feels star-crossed, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Staley, is he still going for fourth down as much as ever? Is he sticking by?
I don't think it's any different than anybody else,
I know everybody has rethought that, and I don't know. There's just something about being the most gung-ho about it that also bothers me. I don't know. They feel, and Mickey Mouse isn't probably the right way to put it, but just not fully. Isn't it amazing in the NFL? Because I'm thinking of what we had to say about the Cleveland Browns earlier and your poor Detroit Lions. It just feels like so much money is at stake that it would be impossible to be a joke of a franchise for decades. And I'm not saying the Chargers are a joke necessarily, but they do go in this bin of
right. Maybe not full on joke, but like punchline.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I need to move back to San Diego.
Why not? Why'd you ever leave San Diego?
That made no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Somewhere where they won't get out-fanned by every other fan base on all of their home games.
They could come to Oklahoma like Cam Curl and Tress Way suggested on a Washington Commanders podcast.
Wow.
Not that the Chargers leave, just they thought it'd be cool to have an NFL team in Oklahoma.
It would be
and I say,
awesome.
How about that one? Come on, Justin Herbert. I'm sure he would love that.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
He'd be
West
thrilled.
Coast guy. Yeah, absolutely. Come on down.
Growing
Quick
up
trip
an Eagles fan,
stadium.
I might even consider, like, if we had an Oklahoma team, to be like, oh man, I got.
You're gonna ditch the Eagles?
No,
Okay.
but I mean, I would go
What
to
if they
the
were
games.
1-6?
The
What if-
Eagles.
Why don't they wear the Kelly green all the time? That is
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Well,
nice.
here was the story behind it. Supposedly, when Jeffrey Lurie bought the franchise, his wife did not like Kelly Green. She's like, get rid of it.
Are they still married?
They still are.
Okay.
Now, what I found funny is they showed her up in the press box,
Mhm.
and she was wearing a Kelly Green sweater.
Oh, sure.
So what's old is new again. You know,
interesting.
she probably thought this was new and different than what back in. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm just making stuff up.
In my home, and this is just a little marriage advice. I know this is what people come to the podcast for.
Yes.
Like 97% of things, my wife can just make the call,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
in any sort of home improvement thing she wants to do, anything for the kids, whatever. But I have to put my foot down on just a couple of things in life. And if she's coming in telling me that the team I own has got to change its shade of green from the Kelly green, the beautiful, beautiful Kelly green that we saw, that falls in to the 1 or 2% where I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry, we're going to fight about this.
Well,
It's not happening. I'm not changing. Seriously, because their uniforms are kind of ugly otherwise.
Well, this is how big of a loser Eagle fan I am. Is I've thought about this conversation. Okay, this is how pathetic I am.
The owner and his wife?
You gonna call the owner?
Yeah, no, I thought about this, and here's how it went. They took over when Ray Rhodes was the coach. They brought him in. The Eagles sucked. They couldn't beat the Cowboys. The Greens. I could hear the wife go.
Wasn't working for him anymore.
Yeah, listen, hey Jeffrey. Man, what a loser team. These colors. You just need to do something different. Start anew. And he's like,
And he
that
did.
sounds like a great idea. That's how I thought.
What do we call, is that Hunter green or what do we call the green that they
Kelly.
go with?
Kelly
no,
green.
the
Oh.
Kelly green's the old one. What is their
Midnight
modern?
green? I think.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Night green.
I hate it.
You don't
Kelly
like
green.
the-
So I love the Kelly green.
Oh, I do too. Yeah,
I mean, they need to wear that.
I agree.
They need to do it like the Cowboys, where even on the road,
Oh yeah.
if possible, they can
Well,
wear the Kelly green.
They're gonna wear it 2 more times, and I don't.
Nice.
So they might bring out the aways.
I like that as good. In 1994, the San Francisco 49ers got blown out by the Eagles, I think 40-8 early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And the next week they went to a retro jersey. Won, played well, wore them the rest of the year and like as a good luck thing, won the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I
Wow.
suggest they go with that in the Kelly green.
I will bring that up.
The
to
world's
Jeffrey.
changed though, because like all this stuff's scheduled out. They've got jerseys to sell.
Mhm.
Nobody would do that anymore.
Right.
That feels ancient now.
Since we're on a roll here, I will suggest go to see Nate Bargatze if he's ever back.
Oh my
in town.
gosh, how good is he? First of all, everyone I know, except maybe Ryan. Did you go?
Did you go see
No,
Nate?
I didn't go.
Okay. Everyone I know but Ryan went.
It was
And
hilarious.
me. Yeah, I know. And everybody just
If
raves
you
about
have
it. And
the-
it's all new stuff.
Yeah, and if you have the whole BOK Center just cracking up, I mean, you're a successful comedian.
I hadn't heard of him until this week.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to watch all the.
Yeah, I would say I don't watch a lot of stand-up comedy. I used to watch a lot of it. I just don't anymore.
Okay.
I don't know. Something about me.
Yeah.
Let's do our primetime picks.
Let's go.
Oh,
Let's go. There's that music. I am fading somebody this week. I can tell you that much. Fading somebody.
So Caden won this last week, but me and Mike lost.
which is unusual.
I'm going to go. I'm going over on Keenan Allen.
Yeah!
Is that 18 points? I'm going over.
Love it.
What kind of parlay do I get if I fade everybody on this list? What does that pay out?
I'm going Bagent below.
Okay.
I'm going to fade Moore. He's on my fantasy team, with the exception of the 150.9 he had. I mean, I just, it's the Bears. I don't know. They did throw it around.
Having second thoughts?
I'm fading Cole Kmet.
Fading Cole Kmet? Okay.
At 9.1.
All right. Well, that will do it for us. Mike Collier, Katie McFarland. I'm Ryan in Love. We will see you guys next week.